It's a few things I want to say before I even do the intro or whatever, but I wanted to go ahead on and get the recording and do the official thing and all that kind of stuff. So this is the first thing I was finna say is that my nails, hold on, you could see it there. My nails are long. This is long for me. And I do not like when my nails are long. And I looked down at my fingers last night and I said, why are my nails so long? And why what has been happening? And that is an indication of how out of it I have really been, that I haven't even cut my nails because I am very much a I want to feel my fingertips on the paper, on the keyboard. I don't want to hear tittity tat tat tat. It feels weird for me, and it also slows down my productivity because I can't type as efficiently with nails. It just don't do right for me. So I need to get them off of here. And so I got to cut my nails today. Not like it's a big production or anything, but I just realized that today or last night. And I was just like, oh my God, there's a lot that has been going on and what has been happening. So I'm going to get back to that in a second. The other thing that I was going to share was today's tea. So today's tea is cinnamon, ginger, and hibiscus. And it's interesting because this morning I didn't really have a taste for any tea in particular. And so I told y'all last week that I was on my cycle, right? This is the other thing that I noticed, y'all. This is a tip. If you ever want men to stay out of a place, especially men that live in like misogynistic worlds, talk about your period, talk about your cycle. Oh, they go running wild. So I was wondering, I was looking at the views on last week's episode. And I said to myself, because it's lurkers. I said that because this is the thing. This is the thing. There are constantly men in my inbox and messages and all that trying to get my attention. And I don't say that to put any type of adjective on it. It is literally just a fact. So, um, in there, the comment says, LMAO, they hate women's issues. Hate. So this is one of the ways that I filter them out is I talk about my cycle. Right. So, so last week I was on my cycle and it was just, it's a lot. And also I'm trying to sync my life with, I'm trying to honor the cycles that we go through. So there's something called cycle syncing, and I'm trying to like sync my life with that. So when we are having our menstrual cycle, we are supposed to be resting during that time. So I've been trying to like honor that and actually intentionally set up my life to honor that so that I don't have to be pushing myself during that time. Like I just don't want to do that anymore. So anyway, I've been trying to do that, but also I told you like I have been exhausted. Like I have been so exhausted. Matter of fact, I didn't ever do the thing. Let me do. Hey y'all, this what's the words I'm supposed to say? Hold on, find the thing, girl. What's it? My name is Kimberland, y'all, and this is the Frolicking Truth and such. And I don't know my words right now, so I'm trying to find them. Hey y'all, I'm Kimberland, and this is the Frolicking Truth, a soft space for Black women who are tired, brilliant, and ready to heal. Here, joy meets justice. We calm our Black ass nervous systems, we unmask, and we leave behind whatever that is trying to kill us. You're seen here, you're safe here, and you don't have to do this alone. Hey, y'all. Come on in, find a comfortable spot, take a seat. I'm grateful to have you here. This is episode 23 of the Frolicking Truth podcast for Black women who are tired, brilliant, and ready to heal, where joy meets justice and nervous systems get free. It's all right if you don't identify with any of those descriptors, and hopefully by this time you gone, because I was talking about my cycle. So hopefully we got you up out of here. But if you're still here, that means that you are coming ready to listen, learn, and support. Okay, now listen, I was in the auntie check-in. Let me jump back in it. So, the comments said, "Woo, suffering." So anyway, I have been trying to honor my cycle, and also I've been really, really exhausted. So yesterday was Tuesday. So I record this live on Wednesday. Me and the inner circle. What up, inner circle? Shout out to the inner circle. So we do this on Wednesday. So yesterday was Tuesday. So on Tuesdays, I do not work, and I call it No Talk Tuesdays, even though sometimes I do choose to communicate about certain things, but I don't accept phone calls, I don't accept meetings, and I don't respond to everybody on Tuesday if they do reach out. I do what I want to do on Tuesday. And I've been exhausted. So I said, "Hey girl, come Tuesday, sis, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. You are going to honor what you need to do." So basically, I started my day at like 6 p.m. yesterday. I was like, all right, guess it's time to go ahead on and get started. So I started my day at 6 p.m. And what happens on days like that is that my world kind of flips. So usually the way that things operate for me is I start my day with my meditation playlist comes on, I take my shower, I get dressed for the day, I make my tea, and then I get to work. Well, on a day like yesterday, I ain't do none of that, right? The 9 a.m. playlist comes on and it goes off. Like I'm not doing anything. So, but when I still get up, I still need to have a routine. So, what happened was I had put on Bad Bunny because Bad Bunny is going to be at the Super Bowl. I don't know if y'all know that. Okay, I don't know. You might not be connected. I don't know. But Bad Bunny is going to be at the Super Bowl. So I am immersing myself in his world, and also flashback. I'm going to put it in here because, well, I got to find it. I'm making a lot of big promises because also I don't know that I'm going to have time to do this. But if I do, I'm gonna put the clip in here from So You Don't Put Syrup on Your Grilled Cheese. I was telling Kalanda about Bad Bunny because I came across his tiny desk, and I was just, oh my God, this man is everything. Like I knew who he was before that, but on that tiny desk, I found out that he was an activist. And then that's my language, okay? So that's like when I really was like, let me see who old boy is. Because I knew that he was wildly popular, and I knew that he's a global sensation. And he has the song Titi Me Pregunto, which I love. And, I knew that, but I didn't know who he was as a person until I watched that Tiny Desk. And I said, let me go do my research. Bad Bunny took me down there, and he's got one more song that I want to share. And this song, I don't know the real name of the song, but I called the song Yo Soy de P fucking R. Okay.
Oh.
Because so P is and R, PR are the initials for Puerto Rico, right? So in this song, it's very much like a salsa type vibe to it. It's really cute. You ever been to a silent party with the
Yes, where
headphones?
they do the headphones.
Oh, I love them
Yes,
so
it's so
much.
fun.
Girl,
So
when I
fun.
I be having a silent party of silent parties up in here. Girl, I be in here cutting the rug and you don't be
Yes,
having no
indeed.
idea. I just be in here just
Una cosa
kicking
con
it.
mami y papi porque en verdad
Okay.
rompieron. ¡Ay!
are pared down.
Yes.
Ay, el mejor de la nueva porque me crié en la vieja. Gracias a mami y papi por todos los honores. Nunca me han visto en la calle ni en los pocos ando vea. Tratan de medir fuerza y no pueden ni en pareja. Calle el sol, calle luna, estoy en la noche oscura. Yo no canto reggae, pero sí cultura de Borinquen, PR, archipiélago perfecto. En el mundo entero ya conocen mi dialecto, mi jerga. A mí me importa un bicho lo que a ti te vale verga. Aquí mataron gente por sacar la bandera. Por eso es que ahora yo la llevo donde quiera. ¿Qué pasó, cabrón?
So I don't know if y'all caught what he said, but basically he was like they was killing people for raising a flag,
raising their flag,
and that's why I take it everywhere I go, right? So I'm all about that. But also, let me see if I can find a part where. Oh, this the drum solo. Girl, I be in here getting it. Girl, I be in here jamming. You hear me? But anyway, I am just like so here for the revolution. Like I am just like, yes,
it's happening.
Stand up. Say the things, girl. I'm in here talking about I'm from PR. I ain't never even been to Puerto Rico, but also yes, do that shit.
What they say.
So anyway, when I started my day yesterday, I put on Bad Bunny and then I was taking my shower. And so the shower hits different in the evening versus in the morning. And so I was in there, I had a whole salsa session. And it's like, I was getting it in. I had so much fun in the shower last night, listening to Bad Bunny. So I did that, and then I cooked dinner, and then I watched a movie. I watched Tropic Thunder last night. I don't know if y'all ever seen Tropic Thunder. Previous to last night, I can say I had laid my eyes upon it, but I had never really watched it for real. But last night I watched it for real. That movie is some wild. That movie is some wild. But I watched that and then just kind of like, let my brain do a little field trip or whatever. So having said that, this morning when I got up, because I had just took a shower last night, so I usually only take one shower a day. I know some people take more than one shower a day, and God bless you if that is your ministry. But also, I work at home, so I literally be going from the bed to the desk to the bench. It's like I don't be going nowhere. So I usually just take a shower. Now, if I go somewhere, then yes, I'm going to take multiple showers. But usually I just take one shower a day. So usually I take my shower in the morning. So because I had taken my shower last night, then I was like, I'm not taking another shower this morning, which also impacted Raina because me in the shower, that's when Raina gets her steam treatment. So instead, she got it last night. But then this morning, when I woke up, she wasn't as dry. I mean, she was more dry, because I didn't take a shower this morning. So anyway, while I was standing there, I said all of this to say. While I was standing there, trying to get Raina together, I had lifted my arm and I said, what is happening? So I don't know how I slept. And I do be sleeping on my side sometimes. But I tweak my little shoulder a little bit. And see, this is what happens when you get to be they say some people say 30 and up, but I say 40. You get these strange aches and pains that come out of nowhere. So now I got to figure out, what I'm doing with my shoulder. Cause yeah, it's a lot going on. So anyway, so I did all that this morning. Then I said, okay, I need to try to get back to my routine. So insert tea. I'm gonna bring you back full circle. So today's tea is hibiscus, cinnamon, and ginger. And I still kind of feel like I need this, like, it's autumn now. And I'm not really a pumpkin spice girly per se. But I do love a good, like, warm undertone. So that's why I did the cinnamon with the hibiscus because usually coming out of my cycle, I wind up just going to hibiscus. But I'm trying to see what this little blend is hitting like, you know. And you know why I say autumn? Because fall means so many things right now. Because the world is literally falling apart. Literally. Like, for real. Literally. So that's why I say autumn because I want to be specific. And also I like words. Remember, like our soul work that I've been telling y'all to like consistently work on is like what do you need to feel safe in community with people? And one of the things I need to know is that you value words. I need to know that words mean things to you. I need to know that. Otherwise, I cannot trust anything that comes out of your mouth. There are some people that hate words and they try to use as little as possible. You're not my people. Don't talk to me if you don't have words. Side note, also men be in my inbox. Two more men on there talking about I like your boobs. How old are you? Boobs? If you don't get your ass from out of my damn what? Boobs?
What?
It's wild out here. It's wild out here. Also, there were a lot of people that knew I was autistic before I knew I was autistic because they would point out to me that when my brain would glitch, I would just start blinking. And they were like, you know what Miss Jackson gonna do? Instead of cussing you out, she just gonna stand there and blink. And they would say that because I literally in my mind would be like going through all the different scenarios of things that could be said and done. And then I would try to like decide where like what is the best option, but I would literally just be standing there blinking. And so that's also how my students used to know that I was finna click out. Because I know y'all heard me say sit down and hush. I am certain. I used to, when I was in the classroom, I used to, also today is about story time too, so relax and buckle up. But I was in the class when I was in the classroom. So I taught sixth grade for 4 years, and then I taught eighth grade for 2 years. And some of my eighth graders I had when they were sixth graders. So I had them twice. And then I had this research class where I taught seventh graders. By the way, I don't like seventh graders. And you should know that if you're a parent and this is your first child going into middle school and they in seventh grade, buckle up, sis, because they lose their minds in seventh grade. Lose it completely, fully wild. Okay, but they come back. They come back. But anyway, I'm not first of all, I didn't go to school to be a teacher. I believe I told y'all that. I don't know if that was last week or the week before. So I was fresh off the street. You feel me? Like, and also, what I'm not finna be doing in here is screaming and hollering and crying. That's what's not finna happen. Because I'm gonna tell you who gonna go home crying is gonna be you. I need you to understand that, okay? And so I just never, I had really good and still have really good relationships with my students, but we not doing that. So I used to be like, if I got to jump off this table and drop kick you in your throat, sit down. All right, Miss Jackson. All right. And what I would do is if they would like be going crazy or, doing stuff, I had said something because I don't like to repeat myself. Now I'm going to repeat myself with intention. I usually say what I said 3 times. Okay. So one time for the people that was listening, one time for the people that just realized I was talking, and the third time for the people that I'm probably finna have to call home today. So after that, you're going to have to use your resources to figure out what's happening. Don't come asking me, don't, right? So anyway, if it was a situation where they wasn't getting their life together, I used to turn around to the board and I would talk to the board and I would just be writing on the board and I would be like, now I know they heard me say that we are on conversation level 0 right now because we are doing our bell. I know that that's what they heard me say because I know if I got to turn around and address something again, that it's going to be a real life problem. I know that because I was the type of teacher, I'm coming to your house. Oh, I'm coming to your house. I watched Lean on Me the other day. Also, that's really like what my school was like, though it was middle school, but it was very much, it was so wild my first year teaching. It was so crazy. It was so wild because the school was an A school when I got hired, and then they changed the district lines. So we got a lot of students from the inner city that came into the school, and it was so many dynamics. The kids was mad, the parents was mad, the parents couldn't get to them. We had to deal with like all kind of cultural things. It was a lot that was happening. But I didn't know no better because I was a first year teacher. So I was just like, I work at Eastside Middle School, you know. So anyway, but Lean on Me very much was like that. So yes, I was like, y'all think y'all crazy? Y'all think y'all crazy? Child, you don't know crazy. And I'm from New Orleans. So then when they really used to get me going, then my accent used to come out. They used to be like, hey, y'all, hey, chill out. Hey, chill out, y'all. I remember one time I had a student and he thought he was about to fight me. I don't remember what his issue was, but he thought he was about to fight me. Like now mind you, I am 5'2.5". Okay. Most of my students were taller than me, or we were seeing eye to eye. Okay. But he was used to doing that. Right now, I do not recommend this. Okay. But this is what I did. So he act like he was finna square up. I took my lanyard off. I gave it to one of my students. I took my earrings off. I said, y'all go ahead on in the classroom, right quick and stand by the phone because we about to finna have to call somebody to come and get him. So the kids was like, go ahead. So my classroom was literally like right there. So all the children in the window like was finna go down. I was like, do what you need to do, homeboy. What's up? Man, you ain't finna make me get suspended. Sir, you approached me telling me you was finna fight me, sir. What's up, sir? We are here now. What's up? Man, I'm like, cause see, when you do all that talking, you're not used to somebody calling you on that. Cause I'm not afraid of you. So I don't know what your issue is, but I could tell you what it ain't is me. So get it together. So he crying and all. So he finally get himself together. I'm not finna, boy, I'm not scared of you. So that's the kind of teacher that I was. And so I never really had classroom management issues. And I used to tell them I didn't take medicine at the time, but I knew that I needed medicine. And I was like, I didn't take my medicine today. So y'all probably, maybe yesterday. Yesterday might have been the day that you could do this, but today, that ain't the one. That ain't the one. So, anyway, those were really good times. That when I was in the classroom, I miss those days. But now I am supporting teachers, right? And it's been really interesting because they are brand new, walking in, and it's very different being in the system as a student and then in the system as an adult, and then in the system as an adult who had your student experience and now you're understanding the why behind why a lot of things happened. So they are going through it right now. They are really going through it. It's a lot that's happening in education right now. And I'm just making sure that I'm doing all I can in the capacity that I have to be able to show up and support them because it's a lot that's going on. So I'm gonna ask y'all again to, if you got kids or you're connected to kids or somebody that's connected to kids, urge them to be actively involved in what's going on in the schools because it's a lot that's going on right now. And I know I keep saying that very broadly and generally, but it really is a lot that's going on in the schools. And because students are not getting the social emotional support that they need, and because there are still adults that do not have healthy social emotional competencies, it's a lot of stuff that is happening. Okay. So just be involved in that. So anyway, I don't know how I went on that tangent, but anyway, welcome. So I do have some announcements that I want to make before I get into the actual thing that I wanted to say. The first of which is I had to find a piece abroad the other day, and it was a reminder of why I do what I do, because those folks that came, they were at first feeling so overwhelmed, and then they said they left feeling excited. Like, to go from a place of, oh my God, I don't know what to do, I just don't know where to turn, I'm so overwhelmed, to wow, I think I can really do this, is a powerful thing. And I'm really excited that I am, and grateful that I followed the urge to do that, because I think it is incredibly important if you are somebody who is looking to leave the US. Not I think, I know. I know that it is incredibly important to have a support system of people where they are also understanding and not trying to discourage you or gaslight you or tell you that everything is fine because they haven't dealt with their process. So I think it's really important for you to honor your spirit and understanding, if you are feeling that urge, follow that urge. There is something behind it. Okay. So thank you. Shout out to you for putting the link in the chat. So if you want to register for the upcoming, I have two more that are coming up. I have one on October 19th, and then November 2nd are the next two dates of Finding Peace Abroad. So you register by going to tinyurl.com/FPA102025. tinyurl.com/FPA 10 2025. So that's how you register for Finding Peace Abroad. Also, immediately after today, we are having the Healing Circle. So remember, the Healing Circle is for Black women. It is a space with myself and Vanessa, the well educator, where we do a yoga flow. We make space for affirmations, for breathing exercises, and really it's a time to connect back to our bodies as Black women. I am going to ask you to turn on your camera. You do have to, and that's almost for anything that I do. If I'm doing something on Zoom, you're going to have to turn that camera on. Okay, so if you don't feel comfortable doing that, then this is not the space for you. In that space, we are also building community, right? So we want to make sure, again, that we have people that understand, people that know that we are reaching into community, both physically and virtually. So this is an example of a virtual community that you are able to come to. The next announcement is that I am shutting things down in November through January. Okay. Sis is tired. Okay. Now I look a little bit more youthful today because I got all that rest yesterday, I think. But sis is tired. I made a couple videos and I was like, Lord, I'm dehydrated. My lips all dehydrated. Like I'm just it's a lot that's going on. And I really feel like I've been walking kind of on autopilot a little bit. So I really have to unplug and allow myself some time to just be for me and not have to be for other people. So I am feverishly working with my brand bestie right now. We met yesterday and organized a schedule for me to be able to feel comfortable just being offline and unavailable during that time. And it felt like, she asked me after we did it, she was like, how do you feel now? And I was like, I feel like a pressure valve released out of my brain, because there are so many logisticals. And when I have a lot of logisticals, my brain gets stuck. Like, it just be like, I be sitting there blinking. So to have someone be able to hear, understand, know, see the vision, and also protect your humanity, right? Because even I had said something like, yeah, but it's still stuff I need to do. So I don't know if I should just do this kind of work. So she was like, so what I heard you say was you're resting from November. So what's the date? What's the date? And I was like, okay. Like, it's so, and it's what I do to people all the time. It's what I do to people all the time. So being able to receive that and have someone to hold you accountable and also support you is like just, it's unmatched. So if y'all have not gotten on over there to the brand bestie, I'm trying to tell y'all need to schedule some time. Now you book that tinyurl.com/the brand bestie. Okay, the link is in the description. Go on over there, cause she gonna get you together now. She gonna get you together, but be ready for the accountability. And accountability feels like love when it's coming from a place of love, and when you're somebody who accepts accountability. It feels like you right. Like you can't even say nothing else. You just be like, you right. So that's what it be. So yeah, but I'm really, really grateful for that because yes, I need the break. If you're trying to get things untangled in your brain, you're trying to figure out your voice, you're trying to figure out what book a she do free consultation calls and things. Book it, child. Book it. Let me do the subscriber update, then I'm gonna come back to accountability, y'all, because I was so loud and wrong. So loud and wrong this week. And I need to tell y'all about it. All right, so subscriber update. So last week we were at 1,455 subscribers. This week we are at 1,468 subscribers. So we are steadily growing. We are steadily growing, is what I need to know. And this is what I also want to know. Hey, to the new subscribers, why y'all here? Why are y'all here? Tell me in the comments, like, what is it that makes you say, let me go on down over there and see what Kimberland's talking about at the Frolicking Truth? Like, talk to me. Tell me what brought you by this way and why you stay. That is valuable feedback for me. And I'm genuinely just curious, outside of those of you who are just lurking. And that's why I had brought up the men earlier. Because when I was looking at the views, remember I said when you look at the views and then the views be low? Or the view I had looked and the views were lower. And then I said the first thing I had said in the last episode was I'm on my cycle. A lot of the views that I get be people lurking, and it be men's. They be lurking. And it's all right. I know y'all here, but also since you are here, just go ahead and like the video. And I know you don't really want me to know that you're here, but just like the video. Just go ahead and like it. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate you. So anyway, shout out to all the new subscribers. That's the other thing that me and my brand bestie were talking about was I am completely revamping the Patreon. I said I was going to talk about that this week, but that was actually not the truth. I am actually going to talk about something else this week, so I'm going to talk about that next week. Because I'm also getting everything together and everything, but completely like revamping the Patreon and how it works and all that. I did give a little insight last week, so if you're wondering, you can go watch that. But the Patreon is where y'all are going to be able to have a direct line to me. Outside the Patreon is going to be like in this, so that we'll have virtual interactions and all that. And I do my very best to be able to provide some type of free access so that you are able to get at least a direction of where you need to go. But in the Patreon is where it's actually like, hey girl, you actually in here. And damn. So I've been sharing a few things in there, like stuff I've been watching or different podcast video songs, like thoughts that are there, blog posts. So I really am becoming more systematized in how I'm communicating with the Patreon. So if you are looking for a place to connect, more deeply, and to have a place where you are able to like ask questions and also contribute what your thoughts are and like be a part of this universe, please do go to patreon.com/minding my black ass business. Join the inner circle. It is $5 a month. And when I tell you, you about to have access to so many things like for $5 a month, because just The classes that I'm going to be offering, like with plant-based medicine and all of that, like those classes, one of those classes could be $20, you know. So I'm doing all I can to make things accessible, y'all. All right. So get on in there, tell somebody about it, and yeah, let's be in there. All right. So this is what I want to say before I talk about what I want to talk about. Y'all, I was so loud and wrong this week. So loud and wrong. I work with this company where I do professional development. And I had did this professional development and I didn't see the normal things that I would usually see to help me to prepare to do this training. So I'm like, this is so weird. And then I also had a co-facilitator, which was also strange because they kind of stopped doing that model a while ago. But neither one of us knew like where the things were. And it was just like so strange. So I give feedback and thankfully my feedback is not like accusatory and like harsh, but it is like speaking to my experience. So basically in my feedback, I was like, there were no videos, there was no like trainer notes, like this, it would have been much easier to prepare had we had this, like we spent way too much time trying to figure this out, whatever, whatever. So then they sent me an email and they were like, we need you to meet with a facilitation specialist. So I wound up meeting with the facilitation specialist. Child, turns out I had deleted what the thing was that we had needed because I did not know that that's where it lived. So then I was like, where did things get lost in translation? So I just went back and I actually sit on the advisory board for them. So it's so funny that this happened because this can literally happen. But basically, there was this paragraph in this document that I didn't even know existed that was linked in an email that they send, but I admittedly do not read the email for real, like I kind of scan it over. But one thing about this company is that they're really good at taking feedback. When I tell you they're like SOP champions, which is also why it was so weird that we didn't have the stuff because baby, they got stuff outlined, they got a video, they got a doc to this doc to that doc, child. It be things. But also if you don't know where to go with all of that, it just feels like a whole bunch of information. And because I've been with them so long and I took a break when I had the mental health crisis, I didn't know that this document existed that had this paragraph that said this is where this thing is. So it really is like a matter of being intentional with communication and ensuring that we're catching the people that fall through the cracks. And I think for myself, because I had been there so long, there really should have been like some type of reorientation or re-entry process or whatever. But anyway, child, I done found a whole, like they have it so scripted out. I just didn't know that the document existed. So, what does that look like when you're talking about accountability? So, I responded, and first I was like, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to meet with a facilitation specialist. Like, I appreciated that. And I learned, these particular things. So now I know where the things are. But then also, I was like, can I adjust my feedback? Because my feedback was based on my understanding at the time. And I want to make sure that my feedback is actually fair because actually, the materials were provided to be more than successful. I just didn't know where the link was. So it really, like, for a moment, I felt bad and I was like, oh my God, like, what a wild mistake to make. But also, we're human and we make mistakes. So being able to sit on the advisory board is also like, this can happen to somebody. So how do we close this gap so that that doesn't happen to somebody else is kind of how they approach things. And I'm just so grateful that I have the opportunity to work with people who take accountability and really they take accountability, they help us to take accountability, they have measures in place to be able to support you if you do have questions. And I think things like that are really important when we are thinking about how the world works and how work should work. For example, my intern has just started working and they work with a major firm. And I've been really following the onboarding process. And so far, like, I'm really impressed with how they are working and the way that my intern has been acclimated into the company. But that is not always the case, and often is usually not the case, that there is such a systematized way of bringing people into the fold. So I said all that to say that two things. One, the when I talk about my time in Pennsylvania, and so for anybody who's just here for the first time, I'm gonna give you a real quick recap, but there's a whole playlist for you to go back and pick up the details of this information. So in when I was talking about being a teacher, I worked in Tampa until 2019. In 2019, I got fired. Well, I left. I left the school district. Then I had a job. Then I got fired from the job because there was a school board member who had beef with me. She was black, by the way, about accountability, because I was holding her accountable to what she was supposed to do as an elected official, and she felt some type of way. So she got the company that I was working with to fire me. So then 2020 happened, insert COVID, and then I moved to Pennsylvania. When I was in Pennsylvania, I worked on behalf of the Department of Education with an organization called Chester County Intermediate Unit. And I was living in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The system that I was in was called CSI. It stood for Comprehensive School Improvement. And I was in that system for 2 weeks. And I was like, this not gonna go good. 2 weeks. And it was because they did not have those systems in place. When I would ask questions, nobody could answer the question. They're giving me impartial answers, or they're telling me something that I know that's not how that goes, because I do know what I'm actually doing. So within 2 weeks, I realized these people don't know what the hell they're doing. And they are managing millions of dollars saying that they're improving schools, and they don't even know how to improve schools. This is wild. So it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And in April of 2021, so after during that time, I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety. I had three mental health specialists. I was placed on medication, and was really just trying to figure out what did I just see and witness. And like, this is so wild. The things that they were doing to me, the ways they were trying to suppress me, the ways that they were lying outright on me. It was just an incredibly toxic environment. So in April of 2021, we had spring break. My ex fiance was like, I feel like you need to leave. Like, you need to go away, because I was in Harrisburg. I didn't really go anywhere. I would just go down to the Amish market. I would walk on the river, but I really didn't go anywhere for real, for real. I worked at home. So like, there's not really anything much to do in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So he was like, I think you need to like get out of the city and like go somewhere. So why don't you go to Medellin? Now, Medellin was the place that he would come when he needed to feel restored um and just kind of get himself back in balance. So he was like, why don't you go to Medellin? I know people there. So if you need something, then, I can get somebody to you, but I think you should go. So he kind of guided me what neighborhood to stay in, like all that. So I come to Medellin. I had just turned 40. And so this was 2021. So I just turned 40. It was my first time taking a solo trip, and I felt confident because he had like told me all the things. It had got me like prepared. He was like, "You gonna be all right." So I come to Medellin, and I remember when I first got here, I was just like, "It is so green." Like, there is green everywhere. So Medellin is the city of eternal spring, and Medellin is in Colombia for anyone who does not know. And it's called the City of Eternal Spring. So the weather was really beautiful and it was just really green. Now, granted, this was during COVID, so the streets weren't very active. It was also like really, really quiet. And I was like, man, this is interesting, right? So I go on this tour. So they have a big graffiti culture here. So I go on this graffiti tour, and on the tour, there are three younger black women that are on the tour. So I had just turned 40, so they were maybe like 28, 29, 30. And I'm listening to them talk, and they were saying they were living here. They're like, yeah, I just left my apartment and so and such. And I was like, excuse me. Y'all say y'all live here? And they were like, yeah, 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 we live here, yeah. And I was like, how? So they said, girl, you got a passport, pack your shit and get out of there. Like, why are you there? And I had zero response. I don't know, girl. I don't like Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I don't care about Harrisburg, Pennsylvania at all. I'm also somebody who has never really been tied to places, which I understand more now when I think about just what it's like to be someone who doesn't have a connection like to my father's side of the family. I'm from a family where they don't talk about shit, so like you just don't know much of anything. So I'm very much not connected to places like that. Even staying in Tampa, the reason I stayed in Tampa so long is because I knew that I was making an impact in education. It was not because I was passionate about Tampa, you know. So when they asked me that, I was like, I don't know why I'm there. And that planted a seed for me on that trip because I asked myself the rest of that trip, and I was here for maybe about a week, and I asked myself, why am I in the U.S.? Why? I don't have a reason. So I made the decision by the end of that trip that I was going to leave and I was going to start a new life in Medellin. So I get back to Pennsylvania and I talked to one of my mental health specialists and I was like, I'm leaving. And she said, okay, I guess the trip went well. And I'm like, and did. And also, I'm leaving. And so I talked to my ex fiance and I tell him, so he gets me prepared to leave. And, he like walks through every single step with me. So it's like, how are you gonna, get rid of your things? What type of things are you taking with you? Where are you gonna go? What does this look like? What does this sound like? Like all of that. And like walked me through everything and got me prepared. And on October 9th, 2021, I left the United States and started a new life. It is my 4-year anniversary tomorrow of leaving the US. And it is absolutely one of the best decisions that I have ever made for myself. I definitely, it's not easy per se, but it's also not as hard as you think it is. It's also not as hard as you think it is. And because it was something that I knew that I needed to do for myself and for my sanity, and I think I realized at that time that I was realizing a few things. It's like you kind of, I hate to say it like this, but if you know, like you kind of start seeing the matrix break, and then it's like, wait, the things that they told me aren't true. And like, I don't, do I even want to do this? I don't, what? A lot of times we call it a midlife crisis, but it really is a midlife awakening. Like you start asking questions about things and you start questioning what you were told and who you are and do you like who you are and if you could do things differently, would you? So you start kind of asking yourself those questions. And I had started asking myself that, especially because I feel like a lot of my identity was wrapped in this educator that I was. And outside of that, I really didn't. have a for real grasp on what I wanted my life to look like outside of that. And that same mental health specialist that I mentioned, one of the things that she told me she wanted me to pay attention to is what about the environment? She was like, I want you to pay attention to your environmental wellness. Like, what do you need in your environment to feel safe, connected, and grounded? And when I got here and I saw how green it was, I was like, I need that. I need to feel and see life constantly being created. I need to see the earth doing what it is supposed to naturally do and being able to appreciate that. Like, I need that to feel connected to my spirit. And now I know that that is because I have indigenous blood in me, that and indigenous people are keepers of the land. So I know that now, but I just felt that pull and I felt that draw. So when I say, like, listen to your spirit and the things that are deposited in your spirit, that is God guiding you, right? So, yeah, so October 9th, 2021, I left the US and I talked to his name is Lewis. So I talked to Lewis yesterday and I was like, it's about to be my 4-year anniversary. And he was the one that took me to the airport and, like, prepared to send me off. You buttoned up my coat, sent me. And I was like, what were you thinking like during that time? Because I remember I was like, I wasn't scared. Let's pull up the feelings wheel. Let's pull up the feelings wheel because I want to remember what I was feeling like on that day. I definitely know I was feeling proud because the day before, I literally sold my car the day before. Um, So on October 8th, I sold my car in New York and I took a Uber back to the apartment and was like, man, like, I'm really about to get out of here. So I remember being really proud. I felt very courageous and thankful. I was also curious because I had no idea what my life was about to be like. Then I also felt probably vulnerable, I would say. I definitely had a sense of grief that was present because I realized I had literally gotten rid of almost everything. And it's so interesting. I thank God for Lewis so much because if I had not met him and intended to get married, I would not have left Tampa. And I would have still been like fighting a good fight and trying to do what's right for the kids and, all of that. He showed me a different way to look at the world. Like, one of the first conversations that we had was about tiny houses. And mind you, my old life, I used to want a bedroom to be a closet. I used to want a movie theater in the house. I wanted, a pool and a huge yard. Like, I wanted things. And during that time, I had really started asking myself, like, what I really wanted just before I had met him. I was like, what do I really want? Which, mind you, I don't know if y'all have heard me say this before, is something that my therapist used to ask me back then. She always used to be like, what do you want? And I always used to be like, girl, I don't know. Stop asking me that. But by this time, I had started asking myself, like, what I wanted, and things were just not really at the top of the list. And what was at the top of the list was peace. I want peace. So then I started asking myself, like, what things bring me peace? So that's when I started thinking more like, it's not these things. Like, I don't care about this. I don't. by this time I had had my house for 10 years, and I was like, I don't even care about this house. Like, I'm over this. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm over it. This is not bringing me peace. So Lewis actually had challenged me. He was like, well, then you need to start purging some stuff. So he was like, have you heard of Marie Kondo? And I had not. So Marie Kondo is this Japanese lady who specializes in purging and helping people to create a life that brings them joy. So her anchor question that she would tell you to do when you are purging, love Marie. Yes. So I love Marie Kondo. But anyway, so the anchor thing that she tells you to do is ask yourself, does this thing bring you joy? So let's say you are sitting at your desk and you look at the things. I don't know if y'all remember, for instance, y'all remember me talking about my Bluetooth for a long time. And I was like, this Bluetooth is sending me, it doesn't stay in my ear. It's like I just hate it so much. And I said that I was getting a new Bluetooth. This new Bluetooth very much brings me joy. Very much brings me joy. I don't even know where that other Bluetooth is at. I don't even know where it's at. I get it out of here. Very much this one brings me joy. So that's something that I would keep, while that other one I get rid of because that doesn't bring me joy. My ink pens that are here. I just found some new gel ink pens when I went to the store the other day. I wrote with one this morning. Very much joy. Very much joy. I love the way that it glides across the paper. I love the way that it glides across the paper and that it is not so thick that it goes across to the other side and bleeds through the paper. Also, you know what else I found the other day that I've been needing to have? A new journal. A new journal. And it's like book size, and the pages are thicker than the last. Oh, y'all can't see that because the blur is on. The pages are thicker than the last one. Very much bringing me joy. Very much bringing me joy, right? So the anchor question that you ask yourself is this thing, this person, this experience, this food, is this bringing me joy? And if it is not, it's got to go. You thank it for its service and you send it on to wherever it needs to go to, whether that be donation, whether that be trash, what have you, gifting it to somebody else that might appreciate it, but it has served its purpose in your life. So one of the comments said, crazy that a man can make us see things differently. Only certain type of men. Well, that's not true. That's not true. They all can help us see things differently, but a certain type of man is going to help you to see things in a way that improves your life, right? And those are the type of men that I try to surround myself with. Because again, I never even had that growing up. So I look for men who are going to add value and help to stretch my mind and like think about things in different ways. So he definitely is that. So anyway, so he introduced me to Marie Kondo. The first thing I do is I purge my closet, because around this time I had also accepted, I was working on accepting my body. So I wasn't, at this time, I was definitely over 200 pounds. The heaviest that I had gotten to was 225 before I left. And so at this time, I might have been, let's say, 205, 215, something like that. And I had clothes from so many ranges. And I was just like, I'm beating myself up trying to get back in these other clothes. And also, those clothes were from, I'm not even that person anymore. Like, I just had so many things that were taking up space and energy. And I remember going in my closet, I got some trash bags, and even like I had skates, and I love to skate and I've wanted to skate, and I want to know how to skate like Usher skates. Okay. I want to like be doing the sexy moves on the skates. You feel me? And that wasn't happening because the skates that I had were, I think, when you get the cheap skates from the Walmart, I don't think they could do all that. I think you got to have custom skates for them to really roll how they're supposed to roll. So those skates were not bringing me joy. So I remember like putting everything in bags and I put it in my trunk, and took it to Goodwill. And I sent him a picture and he was like, okay, I see you, right? He's like, okay. So I go to sleep that night. I wake up the next morning and I open the closet door, and there was like this fresh wind that blew out of the closet. And it just stuck with me because it was an indicator for me in my spirit that I need to release some things and embrace a different way to look at the world. And that moment was the catalyst for me, deciding I was going to sell the house. And so I had gotten rid of my house a year before I wound up leaving Florida because I was supposed to get married. So I was like, all right, we sell my house. So the first day was on the market. I had 4 offers the first day. So the house sold like that. Then it was like, okay, it's time to go. Da, da, da. So I wound up moving into this loft that was across the street from the school that I worked in. So I had to really downsize and get rid of a lot of things. So then once I left Tampa, I had to downsize some more. So then when it was time to leave the country, I had to downsize to a level of 3 suitcases and a backpack. And that was just such an interesting process of getting down to these are the most important things to me that I want to have with me on this journey. Like, it's a process, but it's also so freeing because you really get to release all of these things that you just been dragging along with you from place to place for what? I had lived in my house for 10 years. There were boxes that were in my garage that I had never even opened up in those 10 years. Like, never even opened it. Like, we just be having stuff. So, it really kind of got me started on this journey of thinking about minimalism. And all of this is because of this man. Okay. So, anyways, so he drops me off at the airport and I asked him how he was feeling. And he said, I was just so proud of you because I knew that you were doing something for you and that you was going to be all right. And I was like, that's interesting because I don't I don't know that I knew I was going to be all right. I think I knew that I was going to be all right, as in I was going to do this thing, but there was so much unknown. Like, it was just so much unknown, and I had no idea. So I remember just being like, what is going to happen when I get here? Now, I was supposed to start my journey in Medellin. I did not because it was during COVID, and Medellin, they were having protests and the COVID numbers had risen. So I had been doing all of this like research to get to Medellin, and then I had to shift. And so then I was like, well, what other countries speak Spanish? Because that's the only little language that I have, the only language that I have a little piece of. So where else? And I started getting curious about Mexico because I was like, Mexico is right here, and we don't really know too much about them besides they tell us on the news that they're murderers and gangbangers and the worst of the worst. That's all that was being said. And I was like, that just can't be. That just can't be. So I wound up going to Playa del Carmen. Now, y'all, let me tell y'all what happened when I got to Playa del Carmen, and then I'm gonna wrap this up, and I'm gonna have to do some additional story times. Which, by the way, I told y'all I'm taking a break. Let me uplift that I'm taking a break between November and January. So what's going to happen is I'm going to pre-record some of these stories, and then I'll, be able to put those out. So y'all tell me if you want to know something more about something else, because I can tell you the actual story, or I can tell you whatever. So y'all let me know in the comments. But this is what I was about to say. Okay, so I get on the plane to go to Playa del Carmen. Now, Playa del Carmen, Mexico, does not have a port. So you have to fly into Cancun's airport. And then you have to take a bus or public transportation or some type of private transportation or something. You got to go have a car ride about 45 minutes to an hour to get to Playa del Carmen. All right. Now, I knew this because I was down there on the YouTube. And I had done a lot of YouTube research following people that lived outside the country. So I had come across quite a few videos from folks who were in Playa del Carmen. So I get off the plane and in Cancun, and I had booked private transportation to take me to my Airbnb. I just ran across the screenshots the other day because what happened is the baggage claim was taking forever. I mean, it took probably like an hour and a half for my bags to come, and the transportation wound up leaving me. So I was like, I'm communicating with them the entire time. And I'm like, I'm waiting on my bags. I don't have any control over this. Like, I'm waiting on my bags. Okay, we're waiting, we're waiting. So then when I finally get my bags and I was like, hey, I'm coming outside, they were like, yeah, the driver left. And I was like, what do you mean the driver left? And they were like, the driver left. They had to go get somebody else. What? Like, how am I supposed to get to where I need to go? Right? This is the first thing that happens when I land in my new life. Okay? So I'm like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? So I'm like, okay, you've watched videos. There's this bus that is to put that you can get at the airport that's supposed to take you to the city. So I'm like, so if I can get to the city, then I can take a Uber or whatever to get to my Airbnb. So now, mind you, I have not come across an ATM yet. Okay, so I thought that I was going to see an ATM in the airport. I didn't see an ATM, so I haven't come across an ATM. So I'm standing there and I'm like, find the bus. So I like walk up to somebody and I'm like, ¿Dónde está el autobús? So they were like, oh, ¿tiene un boleto? And I was like, no. Like, so I'm like, where's the bus? And they were like, do you have a ticket? And I was like, no. So they point me to the ticket counter. So I go over to the ticket counter and I'm like, hola, yo necesito un boleto de Playa del Carmen. So they were like, okay. So so I buy my ticket to get on the bus, right? The ticket is $8, y'all. Now, mind you, I had paid like $60 for this private transportation. This bus ticket was $8. Okay, all right. So I get the ticket or whatever, and I'm like, where donde está? Like, where do I go? So they're like, you go out and you go a la derecha, and there's a bus stop out there. Okay, so I'm like, okay, so I get out there, and the whole time I'm walking, I'm just praying I'm going the right way because I really don't know. So I stop and I ask somebody, and I was like, yo tengo boleto, ¿dónde está? So they're like, right here. So I wind up getting to the bus. Very smooth process, very comfortable bus. Okay. But when I get to Playa del Carmen, they drop me off in the middle of the city. Like, so in Playa del Carmen, there's like Fifth Avenue and 10th Avenue or something like that. That's like their downtown, the tourist action, like all the kind of stuff. The bus station is literally in the middle of all of that. So I get off the bus, still don't see no ATM with my three suitcases and a backpack, and I'm just standing there like, meanwhile, meanwhile, vendors are selling things, kids are blowing bubbles, people are like, and I'm just standing there like, what am I supposed to do? So I'm like, okay. Come to find out, Uber is illegal in Playa del Carmen. So I couldn't just get an Uber. So I'm like, okay, I need to find a taxi, right? So I'm walking down the strip, if you will, with my bags, and I see some taxis because I'm like, they've got to have taxis over here. All these people, there are taxis somewhere. And I had read or seen where people would say also be cautious of the taxis. So I've got all of this in my head, right? So I'm like, I just gotta do. So I walk up to the taxis. I'm like, hola, yo necesito ayuda. I need help. So a guy comes over and he's like, you speak English? So I'm like, yes. So I said, I have this Airbnb, like I'm trying to get to the Airbnb, but Uber and I don't know where it is. I know it's not far, but I need to go. So he's like, okay, 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 we can, somebody can take you. It'll be like, I want to say it was like $8. I didn't have $8. I only had a 20 in US money. So I was like, okay, no problem, no problem. So he doesn't take me. He puts me in the car with another guy who does not speak English. So the guy, I'm like, la dirección, the address. So I give him the address. So he's like, okay. When I tell you that man made sure I got to my accommodations, he brought my bags inside for me. He was like, went inside to talk to the people to make sure that we were in the right place, like all of that. Oh my God, I'm tearing up just thinking about it because I didn't know. Like, I was like, ah. So, so he gets me to the man. So I give him the $20. And he's like, oh no, señorita, señora, no, no, solo ocho. And I was like, here you go. Like, that's all I have. Um, and he told me in the translator, he was like, I can go home today. He said, this is enough for me to be able to go home for the day. And I remember being like, whoa, $20 like is enough. And it was like it was an instant, um, what do I want to call it? Uh, like I was talking to somebody the other day and they said they had a that's so Raven moment where like they saw everything and everything just seemed clear. I had a moment where I'm like, everything that they have told us about these people is a lie because that man did not have to look out for me like that. And when I tell you the Mexican people looked out for me, when I left, I started in Playa del Carmen and I left after 2 months and I moved to Mexico City. I took a bus to Mexico City. And from the Airbnb host who dropped me off at the bus station to the man at the door of the bus station to the man that was in charge of tickets to the bus driver to the next taxi driver that got me to my place in Mexico City, they literally handed me off from person to person. Meanwhile, we're being told on the news that these are the worst people that ever did be people, you know. So anyway, he gets me to the hotel and I'm just like so grateful. And it wasn't a hotel, it was an Airbnb, but I'm just so grateful. I check in and the door guy helps me get everything upstairs. And I remember getting into the apartment and closing the door and being like, girl, you did that. Girl, you did that. Like, you really left. And I remember laying across the bed and just being like, wow, I really did that. And that was 4 years ago. That was 4 years ago. And I am still having first, experiences. I was in Mexico and then I left Mexico to move here to Medellin. And it has been such an adventure. It has been such an adventure that I didn't even know I needed. It has shown me how I hate to use this because I don't like to be classified as strong. It is really something that I detest, honestly, because I think the expectation, especially for us as Black women, is that we're so strong, so we're gonna be all right. So people don't check on us and people don't treat us with care and concern the way they would somebody else who might not be all right. And I constantly tell people like, I need you to check on me. And I need you to check on people that are in your life, especially if they're Black women, because we carry that invisible weight all the time, or people just don't feel like they need to check. But I have consistently impressed myself in how much resilient is a good word, not easily broken. Thank you. See, that's why you got to have people around you that value words. Protected. Yeah. Yeah, it really I was and that to that protected, the way that God has looked out for me on this journey and given me these indicators along the way that I am doing the right thing, guided, favored. Yes. Yes. All of those. Yes. Looking back in hindsight, I am just so deeply grateful that I trusted myself enough and I trusted my spirit enough and I had enough faith to say I'm going to do this even when it didn't make sense, because when I left, people thought I was stone cold nuts. They thought I was stone cold nuts. And even someone, I've talked about this lady before, she was supposedly my sister, best friend at the time. And it just wasn't a lot of support for me leaving and doing something that I felt like I needed to do for myself. It was very much approached with selfish, well, what about me? And fear as well. And I just didn't need that because I knew what God had told me. I knew what I felt when I was standing in Medellin in April of 2021, and God was like, and you gonna leave. Pack your shit. They right. Pack your shit and get out of there. And now look. So I said that for a few reasons. One, I need us to be really intentional about connecting to our spirit and really honoring what God is telling us to do. There are some things that God has told you to do that you have been hesitant on and or questioning, or you're not sure. I used to say all the time, like, I don't know if this is spaghetti that I ate last night, or like, is this God? I have no idea. And one thing I love about God is that all you have to do is seek God and God will show up. God will show up. And it says in so many different texts. And I discuss the Bible because I grew up as a Christian, and that is the spiritual book that I know, but I'm certain it's in all the others as well. But it says in the Bible, God says, test me and I will show you. It says it. And I took that to heart. So I do. It's like, God, if this is you, show me a yellow butterfly, and it happens. you know if this is you, God. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said they had a particular car in mind that they were thinking about, and they were like, God, if this is you, show me two of them in 5 minutes. And it happened. Like, God will show up, you know and I think that we have to do a better job of centering ourselves. Y'all know that I help people build deep personal relationships with God outside of the systems of religion. This is why. Because religion does not necessarily teach you how to have a personal relationship with God where you are able to follow the spirit that is inside of you. In the Bible, it talks about when Jesus ascended into heaven, he left the Holy Spirit within us. The Holy Spirit is God, three in one: God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. God is inside of each and every one of us. It really is just a matter of us tapping in. There was this book that when I used to teach Sunday school, we had read this book called Nudge. And it was all about that. Like, the Holy Spirit is in each and every one of us, and it just only has to be nudged awake. So, if you are asking yourself, or you're wanting and seeking a deeper connection to God, and again, I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about God, the universe, the source of all things, the omnipresent, omniscient, all present, all knowing, omnipotent, all powerful. I'm talking about that God, the God that made night and day, and water and earth, and a process of a water cycle of precipitation, evaporation, and condensation. Like that God. I'm talking about that God that did all of that. All you have to do is seek and start asking questions, and you will find. You will find. So that's what I've learned in this 4 year journey has made me so much more resolute in my faith. Can't nobody tell me there's not a God. Can't nobody tell me that at all, because I know I have experienced it, right? And I know that God is accessible to all people in all places in all different pathways. So I'm much more grounded in my faith, and I'm just really, really proud of myself. And even keep in mind, I had a whole mental health crisis abroad, and even the work that I've done in that to get myself back to a place of being able to turn the microphone back on and to be able to sit here with you all and share my experiences in hopes that it will inspire someone else and guide somebody else. So, happy fourth anniversary to me. Happy fourth anniversary to me. So, these are the questions that I want to ask of you this week. What do you need to do to save yourself? What do you need to accept? And what does your dream life look like? Those are the questions that I would like for you to think about this week. And if you feel comfortable, I would love for you to share those questions or those responses into the comments. Thank you all for hanging out with me for story time. I'll remind you again that we are having the healing circle immediately after this. So again, if you go to tinyurl.com/Black Women Healing Circle, you are able to register for that and get the link. So I'll be looking, once this finishes premiering, I'll be looking to make sure I get anybody in there who would like to be. So again, tinyurl.com/Black Women Healing Circle. Again, if you want to hang out with me, shout out to my inner circle. I love y'all so much. Shout out to my inner circle. And if you would like to be a part of that, please go to patreon.com/minding my black ass business. That is how you will get connected to the inner circle. This is my closing thought. You deserve to have a life that brings you joy at a soul level. And my challenge to you is to start making the small changes that will bring you closer to that life. And that means that you have to understand the things that bring you joy. So my invitation is for you to connect to your spirit, connect to your body, and pay attention to the things that bring joy and peace and calmness and stillness. And I know that it might feel uncomfortable because it might not be familiar. But I promise you, if you would visit that place more often, that it will become a lifestyle that really does allow you to have the type of life that will bring you joy. Okay? So I think that's it. I think that's it for today. So hopefully I'll see y'all in the healing circle. Otherwise, I'll catch you out here. Again, please make sure you like the video, that you leave a comment. Even if you don't have words to say, you can always just leave some sunflowers. And let me know, why are you here? You know, why are you here? What brings you here? What are you getting out of this space? Let's do some collective sharing. All right. All right. That's it. That's all, y'all. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Frolicking Truth, where joy meets justice and our nervous systems get free. Please be sure to like, rate, and comment. Subscribe to the YouTube page, Minding My Black Ass Business, and follow me on all social platforms. Until next time.